Shalom, Kol Halo, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakaha Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. The would-be judges, the 144,000, and the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners among the heathen nations, that look like those heathen nations, that have the appearance of the heathen nations. This is not a black thing. And to the few Akwaf that are listening and learning, to you, I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you another lesson in truth. And, you want to make the Lord laugh, make plans, man, because I had a couple different videos and topics that I wanted to go in on, but my my personal reporter here, I laugh, April O'Neil. If you ever seen the Teenage Ninja Turtles, you know who April O'Neil is. But she sent me so much information that I had to use it. And so, through the spirit, the things that I was planning on doing, Lord's will, I'll get to one of them later on today and the other tomorrow. But with the collection of short video clips and the fact that I saw this movie a couple days ago, I had to do this lesson. Nothing happens by chance, especially when it comes to dealing with Yahweh Basham Yahushai. And this movie just hit the theaters. It's called Riff Raff. It's like a dark comedy. You see Jennifer Coolidge there, a.k.a. forever known as Stifler's mom. That woman is funny as hell, man. She is. And then you had Bill Murray, which, I believe it's a Jake. Ed Harris. You got Gabriel Union. Pete Davidson. And this chick, Emanuela Pascheni, this Italian chick, first time I've ever seen her. She kind of looks like, what's the Israeli actress? Gal Gadot. They kind of, I believe that's her name. They kind of favor each other, very attractive, pretty women. But the movie is actually worth seeing, but it's a very dark comedy. And so the reason that I'm using this, because there was a few things that was said in this movie that came to mind that I actually wanted to do a lesson on, and then I got this video. So the reason being is that without giving the movie away, there's a scene in the movie where Bill Murray tells his son, very cruelly, "You mean to tell me that my line ends with you?" He said, "Every man wants to live forever. And the only way that you can do that is if you have a son." And that's what he told his son when his son came to him tearfully and distraught over the fact that he was shooting blanks, that he couldn't make children. And, so this old gangster, went gangster on his own son, because how you think he feels. And I say that to say this. Let me grab a milk scripture. This is my favorite one, is in Kings, but I use this one. This is Numbers 1:18. And it reads, "And they assembled all the congregations together on the first day of the second month. And they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the numbers of their names, from 20 years old and upward, by their polls." And then many other scriptures. All right, because I've heard some of the most ridiculous excuses. Well, they were only counting, that because of this. Just shut up. The point is that you identify your house through the house of your fathers. Men carry the seed. And he told his son, the only way that you could live on forever is if you have a son. And it's true. because if you have a daughter, your lineage ends with her. Any of her children are of another man's line, not yours. You don't continue your legacy through your daughters. You continue your legacy through your sons. All right? It's simple. All right? If you don't have sons, you have a brother and he has sons, then that's still a win-win, because you and your brother are from the same waters. All right? Well, modern day, you never know. All right? Different daddies. But if you and your brother have the same father, you and your brother are the same. You are from the same waters. All right? You and your sister have the same father. You're from the same waters. The life is in the sperm. The man puts his seed into the woman, and through that woman, his legacy, her body is designed to bring forth the seed that was put in her. All right? Not her daddy's. All right? So life doesn't continue through your daughters. It continues through your sons. Despite of what their outward appearance might be. There's an interracial marriage in this movie. Okay? Gabrielle Union. Okay, so, and I only mention that to say that, and she's married to Ed Harris, who has the appearance of a so-called white man. All right? So, let's say hypothetically, if they were having babies all over the place, her children would be melanated. All right. Some might actually come out looking like Ed Harris, but the chances are that you're going to get, some light brown, light skinned, curly head, people. All right. Or that the half over curly hair, what you people call nappy. Okay. Or you may get you never know when you're mixing, Esau and Jacob together like that. Esau being the pale one, Jacob being the melanated one. All right. And the reason I bring that up is because of this whole thing, is because of this video. All right. Let me go and find it now. She sent me so much. But this one with Noam Chomsky. All right. And this was also vindicating to me, this video, because he proves everything I've said about Judeo-Christianity, Christian Zionism, which is now against each other, because, the Christians are pointing the fingers at the Jewish, saying that they're Esau Edom, and the rabbis are pointing the fingers at the Christians, saying that they're Esav. It's the end of their world. All right. And the apologists and the Christians are silent on that subject matter. And also, don't you find it strange that all this stuff that happened with Guerrilla Hebrew and the Sakari, this is how you know that Vocab Malone is set up to go after the real prophets, which is GMS, the Great Millstone. He has been completely silent on this whole Guerrilla Hebrew thing. Had that been a member of Great Millstone, Vocab and the apologists would have chimed in. They would have made several videos by now. They have been completely and totally silent. All right. It's that 501c3 charter protection. That's also why you haven't heard anything from ISUPK, not ISUPK, but IUIC. All right. And a couple other groups. Okay. Because Captain Tazariak did say something, and so did I think General Gehenna may have said something too. All right. But that 501c, they're in violation of the 501c3 charter. All right, because that's one of the one of their things is that they can't speak about another church, another group or organization that's within the charter. All right. But First, I want to play this video. Gotta find it. Oh, come on. Was it this one? We work many different. Oh yeah, that's a part of it too, but not that one. Here it is. All right. Now, I've said this about that DNA thing. So understanding that your bloodline goes to your father, and I've said this for many years now, all right, that the whole DNA testing is for Esau Edom to find out who are the scattered elect among the heathen nations that have the appearance of the heathen nations, you know, and then the opposite of that, what, you know, these BOIs don't want to talk about, acknowledge. They don't want to talk about, you know, the millions of babies that were made through, not only just through rape of so-called Black and Hispanic women, but you know, moving forward, who willfully lay with these men and have babies with these men. So these brown, chocolate, melanated, Edomites that are among Jacob, they don't want to talk about the other way around. All right. And then they get upset, you know, when you point out the fact that someone as pale as Jake. All right. Even when they have a father that's, you know, or a grandfather on their father's side, they find out that they're, you know, they can prove that their father's father, even though their father looks like a white man, their father's father is a so-called Black man. You know, like what's that one what's his name? That Malone, and so many, you know, pro athletes, and that Malone got the quarterback is just one, you know, and there's a couple others out there, quite a few of them. All right, that, you know, you look at them and, you know, and you wouldn't know it. So they get upset about that, but never wanting to acknowledge the fact that you got chocolate covered Edomites running around here in the millions around the world. Brown complected, tan complected, melanated Edomites. You know, Edomite men who either raped or actually had marriages with women of color, including the so-called Black woman, as you can see in the one of the images there, Ed Harris next to Gabrielle Union in the movie, because they're married, they're a couple. All right, but without any further ado, I want to play this evidence, this woman speaking about the collection of DNA and the real reason behind it, which I saw right through it right away. And I've been saying this for a very long time, but here we go.
Ancestry DNA, it was never about helping you find your family. They told you it was about reconnecting with your past. They told you it was about discovering your roots, your lineage, your history. They told you it was about finding long-lost relatives. They lied. Ancestry DNA was never about helping you find your family. It was about tracking bloodlines. It was about finding lost kings, rulers, and disruptors who once threatened the system. The ones who have returned in new bodies, new lifetimes, new identities. History is not linear. It loops. And the rulers of today, they know that their old enemies are being reborn, and they will do anything to stop them from waking up. They can trace every bloodline, every descendant, every possible return of an old ruler, an exiled king, or a lost revolutionary. And if someone is born with the wrong DNA, a genetic signature that once belonged to a threat to their system, they know immediately. They can stop them before they wake up. Do you really think the elite care if you're 5% Viking or 10% Italian? Ancestry DNA, it was never about helping you find your family.
There it is. And then, and she's mentioned the Vikings, and the Vikings were not white people. That's another lie. All right.
Ancestry DNA.
That's and there's too much evidence to prove that, because when the Vikings were running around Western Asia, the portion that they call Eurasia or Europe, so-called Negroes were ruling Europe at that time, and there's relics and evidence, there's physical evidence to prove that, but it's ignored. You know, I watched a short clip of the 300, and I just started looking at all the comments, and you know, and these Edomites are just so proud of that movie, and I'm just like laughing at them because, you know, sucks to be you, but the not only were Xerxes' army not so-called white people, but the Spartans weren't either. All right, the Spartans were Israelites, and the Bible points that out in the book of Maccabees. All right, but I've said hundreds of times on videos that I believe that what it was for, and that's exactly what it was for. Esau trying to prevent the end of his world from happening, trying to counteract, in all things. It said that veil would be removed. Matter of fact, let's get that. And this is all being done through the Spirit. I didn't sit up and watch this stuff and write down precepts and prepare. I've gathered up the information, just turned the camera on. But this is Isaiah 25:7, and ask the Spirit to guide. Isaiah 25:7, and he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations. Yeah. So, and one of the way that they spread a veil over the nations was through the creation of color. Like when you look at the bottom there, you can, even though, all these people are pale, they're even different shades of red. None of them are white. They're all different shades of red except Gabriel Union. And they're different shades of brown. Because she's like a light of hair. That's Latinas that kind of, come her complexion. Natives that come her complexion. Okay, so she's not the darkest, And so you got chocolate, the dark chocolate, all the way up to that very light brown, what they would call yellow. Yeah, because yellow is a derivative of brown. Okay. So now, the problem with Esau is that his whole demo was to, use religion to hide behind religion and hide his true intentions. His true intentions was this: to rape, rob, steal, covet fields, and take them by violence. Let's read that. This is Micah 2:1, and it reads, "Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. They covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. Therefore thus saith Yahweh, behold, against this family do I devise an evil which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall ye go haughtily, for it is the time of evil." So, Esau made these plans. One of the ways of doing the DNA was and trying to figure out who's who was them trying to remove their necks from the foot of the Lord that's on it, to remove their necks from what's coming to them. All right. Yeah, this is verse 4. "And that in that day shall one take up a parable against you and lament with a doleful lamentation and say, We utterly be spoiled. He have changed our portion of our people. He have removed it from me, turning away. He have divided our fields. Is that not us? Is that not the Jacob complaining about the prophets telling you the truth about all the land that they've stolen, that they've raped, robbed, and murdered, that they've taken using Christian Zionism, Judaism, Judeo-Christianity, hiding behind it? Let's show a receipt. This is Noam Chomsky.
This is the last phase of European colonization. And notice that the countries...
Wait a minute. Europe itself was colonized by Alexander the Great, Alexander of Macedon. That's right there in First Maccabees, the first chapter. All right. Europe was full of melanated people before the Edomites came in and took it over.
Most strongly in support of Israel are not just the United States. It's the United States, Australia, and Canada, the offshoots of England, Anglosphere sometimes called, unusual forms of imperialism. These are settler colonial societies, societies in which not like India, not like the British in India, say, the societies in South Africa was a little like this, or Algeria under the French. Settler colonial societies in which the settlers came in, essentially eliminated the native population, also driven by religious principles, very religious groups driven by Christian Zionism. Those are major cultural factors. This is the last phase of European colonization. And notice that the countries that are most strongly in support of Israel are not just the United States. It's the United States, Australia, and Canada, the offshoots of England.
See that?
Anglosphere sometimes called.
All Edomite ran and controlled countries, all right? And those countries formulated a plan, and Israel is the last of them. And there was a plan formulated by the Balfour Declaration in the early 1900s during World War I, and it was implemented during World War II. And it fulfilled this prophecy right here. This is Ezekiel, one that's ducked and dodged by the rabbis and by Christian Zionists as well. But this is Ezekiel 36:5, and it reads, "Therefore thus saith the Lord power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea," that's the Edomites, the so-called white race. They've renamed themselves white, Caucasian, okay, "which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their hearts, with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey." And what land is that? The Holy Land, the land of Israel. The Edomites fulfilled prophecy and appointed it to themselves while claiming the heritage that is not theirs. All right? They're the wild men of Western Asia, of Europa. Okay? And what they've taken the wild man history and they fused it with Viking history. That's why they try to make the Vikings look so barbaric. They're barbaric, but yet organized at the same time. No. The Vikings were the so-called Negroes. Why do you think they have a 15th century a tapestry of so-called black men, Moors, Morenos in Germany, wearing mitres, headbands, armor, and knights in a castle, defending a castle against wild men coming out of the forest? Those were the wildlings, the wild men. Matter of fact, that's what the wildlings in Game of Thrones was representation of. They were representation of those, of the Edomites. And they took that wildling history and fused it with Viking history and tried to make that them, but that wasn't them. That was Jake going off worshiping all them pagan gods and all that stuff. The same way that they took all the ancient Egyptian and Babylonian gods and then made them pale, and that's where you come up with Greek mythology, because all those gods were dark at first, dark flesh, chocolate, and they just turned them all white. And the same thing continued when it comes to that Viking history. Ezekiel 36:2. "Thus saith the Lord power, because the enemy have said against you, aha, even the high ancient places." All right, the ancient high places are ours in possession. So the Edomites, Amalek, as a matter of fact, Alexander of Macedon, Alexander the Great was an Amalekite. All right, they got the Holy Land. All right, and through this declaration and through war, and it was implemented in World War I, and it was fulfilled in World War II. After World War II, I should say, to be correct. And that's exactly what happened. And no one wants to talk about this. This prophecy in Ezekiel is completely ignored by the rabbinical orders and the, Judeo-Christian orders. They ignore this. All right. Let's get one more receipt.
Netanyahu has a different idea. His idea is we captured the Palestinian lands in 1967.
This is Jeffrey Sachs speaking. Everyone should know who Jeffrey Sachs is at this point. All right.
Netanyahu has a different idea. His idea is we captured the Palestinian lands in 1967, and we're never going to give them back. So we're just going to rule over the Palestinians. He says we're going to keep the land. There will be resistance. Hamas, Hezbollah, other militant resistance. What will we do about it? You can't really fight the terrorists, he says. You have to fight the states that back the terrorists.
And Iran is the central one in his mind.
But interestingly for Netanyahu, he lays out one by one. Yes, of course, Iran is the central one in his mind, but so too is Iraq under Saddam. He supported Hamas. So too is Bashar al-Assad in Syria. Iran, Iraq, Lebanon, Syria, Somalia, Sudan, and Libya. And you know what the plan was? 7 wars in 5 years. The U.S. using Israel? No. This is Israel using the U.S. as if our military is in their hands, which in effect it is. You take
Exactly, it is, because you have all these Israeli citizens that have dual citizenship, and all the, the Jewish lobbies and NGOs that completely and totally control policy here in America. As a matter of fact, they would even though this is a fact and not slander and not maliciously said, it's just simply the truth. But, they're going to sling the anti-word. And so they, you can't even mention what they're actually doing factually and doing right in front of you without them screaming that they're a victim, that you're anti something, So they play the semantics game, the anti-semantics game, when you point this fact out. All right. And he was interviewing, I think, Wolfowitz, but this is Jeffrey Sachs, who's also, an Amalekite. And he's just telling you the truth. I wonder if they're going to call him, anti-semantic.
Wolfowitz, and you take Faith, and you take these neocons, and you take Netanyahu. They game planned the whole thing out. Well, I regard Netanyahu as having been our greatest disastrous president of the 21st century because he ran American foreign policy for 20 years and he cost us trillions of dollars. And where is the Middle East today? War in Syria, war in Lebanon, war in Palestine, unrest in Iraq, war in Yemen, chaos in Sudan, chaos in Somalia, chaos in Libya. Great job, Bibi. You did a terrific job.
So there it is, man. And their house divided because this unwavering support for Israel. See, they're going to become a victim of their own devices because the world's going to realize that. The world is in the position it is in because these people are in a place where they don't belong. Bringing on and cost America. Basically, America has failed and is falling just for supporting them for this policy. Trillions upon trillions of dollars in debt. All right. Trying to make these people happy while allowing these people have infiltrated everything. Your government, your entertainment, the CIA, the these NGOs. And that's why America just has this undying, unwavering support for them. But not America, just the American politicians. All right. And if you speak about it, and it's all a part of Esau, Edom falling. That's just why they're about to go to war with one another. And now those very same states that he mentioned that supported this colonialism, these are now at each other's throat. All right. And eventually, these people that are screaming that they're victims, so they're going to actually become that when the world, they're going to, what's the word that I'm looking for? By their own devices. All right. So the Lord's going to actually allow them, it's going down. But we'll get 2 scriptures and close this out. something else in Ezekiel they don't want it, because this is Ezekiel 25 and 12. Thus saith the Lord power, because the Edom have dealt against the house of Judah by taking vengeance, and have greatly offended and revenged himself upon them. You know, and one of the ways he did was create this whole black and white thing, and identify through color and not bloodline. That's one of the devices that they used. Therefore, thus saith the Lord power, I will also stretch out my hand upon Edom, and I will cut off man and beast from it, and I will make it desolate from Teman, and they from Dedan shall fall by the sword. So they're running out of resources, running out of power, and they're turning on one another. A lot of Edomites are going to die by the hand of other Edomites. It's going to be another civil war, right? And I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel, and they shall do in Edom according to mine anger and according to my fury, and they shall know my vengeance, saith Yahweh power. So the Lord's eventually going to turn Jacob loose on Esau, Edom, and put them to the sword. For it is written. This is 2nd Ezra 6 and 7. And it reads, Then answered I and said, What shall be the parting asunder of times? Or when shall be the end of the first, and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, From Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau, whose blessing was the sword. All right? And when you live by the sword, well, you're the world's number one colonizer. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So after, Esau rapes, robs, spoils, when it comes to an end to his dealing treacherously, as a matter of fact, we'll get that one. Then they will be dealt treacherously with, and that's where we're headed. This is Isaiah 33 and 1, and it reads, Woe to thee that spoilest. All right, you colonizing spoilers, you imperialists, because how did they spoil? Through the sword, through rape, through robbery, through murder, through disease, through chemical and disease warfare, through science. All right, through scientific diseased warfare. When thou was woe to thee that spoilest, and thou was not spoiled, and dealest treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled. And when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. Now all of a sudden, Trump wants to pull back his tariffs. It's too late. Call halal Yahweh Bahasham, Yahushai Bahasham, Rakah Kodash Kwam Yasharala Abad Babal.